in the country whom Lavender trusted as much as Ned Woods. Lavender gathered up his reins in his gloved hands and dug his heels into his horse's flank, but Woods was already ahead of him. "Park Lane, you said?" Woods asked as he led the way across the dung-strewn stable-yard. "Yes, number 93. I suppose we'd better go and see what that sly fox of a surgeon wants. See you later, son." Wood's broad shoulders were rigid with disapproval beneath the blue greatcoat of his uniform. As they rode out of the stable-yard beneath the arched entrance, he turned and added to Lavender, "Sir Richard were probably extracting the poor fellow's organs while he was still breathing." Lavender grinned and followed him out into the heaving streets of Covent Garden. They made slow progress through the heavy traffic. Hackney carriages were nose to tail, with a long rumbling line of empty wagons returning from Covent Garden's fruit and vegetable market. Stalls blocked the pavements on both sides of the Strand, selling everything from ladies' bonnets to quack cures for arthritis, dropsy and gout. The shoppers jostled for space and were forced out onto the road by the stalls, further slowing the traffic. The rumble and clatter of wheels over the stones and cobbles and the shouts of the traders, hawkers and frustrated wagon drivers filled the air. The roads were wider in the quieter, leafier streets of the burgeoning West End of London, and better maintained. Hyde Park, too, was quiet this morning. A few liveried grooms on thoroughbreds thundered up and down the loose gravel bridle path known as Rotten Row, but it was still too early in the day for the promenading gentry in their gleaming carriages and elegant finery. The houses on Park Lane were mostly 5 or 6 stories high, colonnaded and topped with ornate and exaggerated chimneys displaying the wealth of their owners. A plain, flat-fronted house in a short, narrow terrace, number 93 was modest in comparison with its elaborate and stuccoed neighbours. Lavender and Woods dismounted and tied their horses to the park railings opposite the property. A small, grubby boy with a broom was sweeping away the horse-dung from the paved street. Woods beckoned him over. The boy scowled with distrust at the sight of Wood's distinctive uniform, but his eyes widened with delight when he saw the penny in the officer's palm. "What's your name, son?" "It's Will, Governor." "It looks like you do a good job on the road with your broom, Will." The boy was undernourished and dressed in rags, but he pulled himself up to his full height and bristled with pride. "I'm paid by the Kensington Turnpike Trust to sweep her clean every day." Woods glanced up and down the street and nodded approvingly. "I can see you keep her very clean, son." The dirty little face below the greasy fringe beamed. "I do me best. It's the egg carts that's the worst. Wisps of the stuff just float down everywhere. And what with the black dust from them coal carts and trails of gravel from the stone wagons, it can be an hard job sometimes." Woods wiggled the penny. "It sounds like a hard job, but do you think you can work and keep an eye on our horses at the same time, son?" "I can, Governor." "Good lad," Woods said. "You keep them safe and I'll give you this penny when we come back." The boy beamed and touched the ragged brim of his filthy cap. Lavender smiled. This was why he and Woods worked so well together. Ned had the common touch, a quality Lavender knew he lacked himself. His constable's help was invaluable whenever they had to seek the trust or support of ordinary working folks. Not that there would be many working men and women involved in this case. Park Lane was one of London's most desirable areas, and the houses tended to be inhabited by wealthy aristocrats and ambassadors. Sir Richard's involvement in the case also suggested the dead man wasn't an ordinary citizen of London. The surgeon charged a hefty fee for private medical treatment. Beside him, Woods shook his head gently and said again, "This seems an odd place for a suspicious death." The maid showed them into the parlour on the ground floor. The narrow room was modestly furnished, with just a hint of old-fashioned grandeur. The wood-panelled walls had been painted white to reflect back the weak light filtering through the heavy drapes around the window. The floral upholstery, cushion covers and Meissen ornaments on the mantelpiece softened the starkness of the room. Sir Richard Ellison and a pale but dignified woman aged about 50 sat by the fire.